What if the deadliest assassin alive wasn't trained by humans, but by werewolves? They say monsters aren't born. They're made. But what happens when a human child is raised by creatures who hunt in the dark, who kill without mercy, who answer only to the moon? His name is Kale, and he's not human anymore. Kale was 3 years old when his parents died. Not in a car crash. Not from disease. They were slaughtered. Torn apart by a rogue werewolf pack during a border skirmish between rival territories. He should have died with them. But the alpha of the Nightfalling pack, a massive silver-eyed wolf named Thorn, stopped mid-strike when he saw the boy, covered in blood, silent, staring back without fear. Thorn didn't kill him. He took him, raised him, trained him, and turned him into something the world had never seen. Kale grew up in a world where weakness meant death, where the strong fed first and the slow were left behind. He learned to move like a shadow, to listen to heartbeats from 50 feet away, to smell fear on the wind. But he was still human. The pack never let him forget it. The younger wolves mocked him, called him the pet, the alpha's mistake. They said he'd never survive his first hunt. They were wrong. By age 10, Kale had killed his first deer with his bare hands. By 15, he'd taken down a rival pack member in a dominance challenge. By 20, he'd become something else entirely. Not wolf, not human, a weapon. But the outside world didn't see a survivor. They saw an abomination, a human raised by beasts. Hunters came for him. Rogue packs wanted him dead. Even other supernatural creatures, vampires, witches, ancient spirits, saw him as a threat to the natural order. He didn't belong anywhere. Too wild for humans. Too human for wolves. So Kale did the only thing he knew how to do. He disappeared. And when he resurfaced 5 years later, he was no longer Kale the outcast. He was the ghost. The assassin no one could stop. Thorn had taught him everything. How to track prey through scent alone. How to move without sound. How to strike before the target even knew death was coming. But Kale had added something the wolves couldn't teach. Strategy. Patience. Human cunning. He could blend into crowds. Speak multiple languages. Manipulate, deceive, infiltrate. He was a predator with a mind. And that made him unstoppable. His first contract was simple: eliminate a corrupt politician who'd been trafficking supernatural creatures. Kale finished the job in 48 hours.
No witnesses.
No evidence. Just a body found in a locked room with claw marks on the walls. The underworld whispered his name. And the contracts kept coming. Within 2 years, Kale had become the most feared assassin in the supernatural underworld. Packs hired him to eliminate rival alphas. Vampire covens paid him to hunt rogue bloodsuckers. Even witches sought his services when their enemies needed to vanish. He worked alone, trusted no one, left no trace. But there was one rule he never broke. Never kill children. It was the only humanity he had left. Then came the contract that changed everything. A voice on the phone.
Cold.
Female.
Deadly calm.
There's a child. 8 years old. Heir to the Black Moon Pack. I need him dead before the next full moon. Kale hung up. 2 days later, an envelope appeared at his safe house. Inside, a photo of the boy, and a message written in blood. Refuse again, and Thorn dies. Kale's hands trembled. For the first time in years, the ghost felt fear. Because the person who sent this message knew his one weakness. The only family he'd ever had. Kale stared at the photo. The boy had silver eyes, just like Thorn. And suddenly, Kale realized something that made his blood run cold. This wasn't just a contract. It was a test. And whoever sent it knew exactly what Kale was. Chapter 2. The Hunter Becomes the Hunted. Kale didn't sleep that night. He sat in the darkness of his safe house, the photograph burning a hole in his vision. The boy couldn't be more than 8. Dark hair, pale skin, and those eyes.
Silver.
Unmistakable. Thorn's bloodline. Which meant this child was either Thorn's son or grandson. and someone wanted him dead. Cale crushed the photo in his fist. Whoever sent this knew too much. Knew about Thorn. Knew about their bond. Knew that threatening the old alpha was the only way to force Cale's hand. But they'd made one mistake. They'd given him a target. And Cale was very good at finding people who didn't want to be found. He pulled out his encrypted laptop and started digging. Black Moon Pack. Eastern Territories. Known for their brutality and iron-fisted leadership. Their current alpha was a wolf named Mordain. Ruthless. Paranoid. Hated by half the supernatural world. But beloved by his pack. And fiercely protective of his only son. The boy in the photo. His name was Elias. Cale's jaw tightened. This wasn't just a hit. This was a political assassination. Someone wanted to destabilize the Black Moon Pack by killing their heir. And they wanted to use Cale to do it. He closed the laptop. Then he made a call. The voice that answered was rough. Older.
Familiar. Cale.
It's been 3 years. Thorn. Silence. Then, you only call when there's blood coming. Someone threatened you. A low growl rumbled through the phone. I'm still breathing, boy. Which means they haven't tried yet. They will. Unless I kill a child. The line went quiet. When Thorn spoke again, his voice was colder than Cale had ever heard it. Then you know what you have to do. Cale's grip tightened on the phone. I'm not killing him. Then they'll come for me. And when they do, they'll come for you next. You think you can protect me from whoever this is? I'll find them first. Thorn laughed.
Dark.
Bitter. You always were stubborn. Just like your mother. Cale froze.
What?
But the line was already dead. Thorn never mentioned Cale's parents. Ever. And now, after 20 years, he drops that bomb and hangs up? Cale's mind raced. Something was wrong. Very wrong. He grabbed his gear. Weapons. Fake IDs.
Cash.
If someone was targeting Thorn, Cale needed to get to him first. But as he opened the door, he found someone already waiting. A woman.
Tall. Pale.
Red eyes. Vampire. She smiled, fangs glinting in the moonlight. Hello, ghost. We need to talk. Cale's hand moved to the silver blade at his hip. I don't talk to leeches. Her smile widened. Not even when we have information about who wants you dead? Cale hesitated. She stepped closer. The contract on the Black Moon Air? It's a setup. You were never meant to take it. You were meant to refuse it. Why? Because refusing it puts a target on Thorn. And once Thorn is dead, you'll have nothing left to lose. You'll become reckless.
Angry.
Predictable. Cale's blood ran cold. Who wants me predictable? The vampire's red eyes gleamed. The same people who killed your real parents. The same people who ordered that rogue pack to slaughter your family 20 years ago. Cale's world tilted. That was random.
A territorial disputa.
She shook her head slowly. Nothing about your life has been random, Cale. You were chosen. Raised by wolves. Turned into a weapon. All so you could be used when the time was right. Used for what? The vampire pulled out a small card and handed it to him. On it was a symbol. A crescent moon wrapped in chains. There's a war coming. Between the old packs and the new order. And you're the key to starting it. Cale stared at the symbol. He'd seen it before. Carved into the tree where his parents died. Who are you? The vampire turned to leave. Someone who doesn't want to see the world burn. Find the boy, Cale. Protect him. Because if he dies, the Black Moon Pack will blame the Night Vong. And Thorn will be executed for a crime he didn't commit. She vanished into the shadows. Cale stood alone in the doorway, the card burning in his hand. Everything he thought he knew was a lie. His parents.
Thorn.
His entire life. All of it orchestrated. And now, someone was trying to use him to ignite a war. Cale crushed the card in his fist. They'd made one critical mistake. He wasn't their weapon anymore.
He was coming for them.
All of them. Chapter 3. The Boy Who Wouldn't Die. Cale reached the Black Moon territory by dawn. The estate was massive. Forested. Heavily guarded. Wolves patrolled every perimeter. Cameras hidden in trees. Trip wires laced through the underbrush. Getting in would be suicide for most assassins. For Kale, it was Tuesday. He moved through the forest like smoke.
Silent.
Invisible. His senses, sharpened by years of living among wolves, detected every heartbeat, every breath, every shift in the wind. He slipped past 3 patrols without them ever knowing he was there. But as he approached the main compound, something stopped him. A scent.
Blood. Fresh. Quel est instinct crime de danger?
He moved faster, scaling the outer wall and dropping into the courtyard. What he found made his blood freeze. Bodies. Dozens of them. Black moon wolves. Slaughtered. Throats torn out. Chests ripped open. But these weren't clean kills. They were brutal. Savage. The work of something that enjoyed the violence. Kale's eyes narrowed. This wasn't a pack dispute. This was a massacre. And whoever did this was still here.
He heard it then.
A child scream.
Kale ran.
He burst through the main doors into a grand hall. At the center stood Elias, the boy from the photo, 8 years old, covered in blood, silver eyes wide with terror. And surrounding him were 3 wolves, but not normal wolves. These were wrong. Their eyes were pitch black. Foam dripped from their mouths. Their movements were jerky, unnatural, infected. Kale recognized the signs immediately. Rabid wolves. Driven mad by dark magic. Someone had sent them here to kill the boy and everyone in the compound. The largest wolf lunged. Kale moved faster. He crossed the distance in a heartbeat, blade flashing. The wolf's head hit the floor before its body realized it was dead. The other 2 turned on Kale. He didn't give them time to attack. He was among them in seconds. Blade singing, moving with a speed and precision that was more wolf than human.
Strike. Spin. Kill.
The second wolf fell. The third tried to run. Kale threw his blade. It buried itself in the wolf's spine. Silence. Kale stood in the center of the carnage, breathing hard. Then he turned to the boy. Elias stared at him with those silver eyes. Are you here to kill me too? Kale shook his head.
No.
I'm here to stop whoever is. The boy's lip trembled. Everyone's dead. My father. My mother.
The guards.
Everyone. Kale knelt down to the boy's level. Not everyone. You're still alive. And I'm going to keep it that way.
Why?
You don't even know me. Kale met those silver eyes. Because someone very important to me would die if I let you get hurt. And because I made a promise a long time ago. Never kill children. Elias wiped his eyes. What's your name?
Kale.
The boy's eyes widened. The ghost. Kale nodded. You've heard of me. Everyone's heard of you. They say you're the deadliest assassin in the world. They say you were raised by the Nightfang pack. They say you're not even human anymore. Kale stood. They say a lot of things. Most of them are true. He pulled his blade from the dead wolf's spine and cleaned it. We need to move. Whoever sent these things will send more. But before they could leave, a voice echoed through the hall.
Cold.
Female.
Familiar.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Kyle spoon.
Standing in the doorway was a woman.
Tall.
Elegant. Wearing a black suit. Her eyes glowed amber.
Alpha.
But not just any alpha. Kale's breath caught. He knew her. Seraphine. She smiled. Hello, Kale. It's been a long time. Elias grabbed Kale's arm. You know her? Kale's jaw tightened. She's the one who trained me how to kill. Seraphine stepped into the hall, her heels clicking on the blood-soaked floor. And you were my best student. Until you disappeared. Until you broke the one rule I taught you. What rule? Her eyes locked onto Elias. Never let emotion make you weak. She raised her hand, and behind her, a dozen more infected wolves poured into the hall. Kale pushed Elias behind him. Run. Where? Anywhere.
Now.
The boy ran. Kale drew his blade. Seraphine tilted her head. You can't protect him forever, Kale. This world doesn't allow heroes. Only survivors. Kale's eyes blazed. Then I'll survive long enough to kill you. The infected wolves charged, and Kale became death itself. Chapter 4. The Truth in Blood. Kale moved like a storm, blade flashing, body twisting, every strike precise, every movement calculated. The infected wolves were fast, but Kale was faster. He ducked under snapping jaws, rolled past slashing claws. His blade found throats, hearts, spines. One by one they fell, but there were too many. For every wolf he killed, 2 more appeared. Seraphine watched from the doorway, arms crossed, a small smile on her lips. You've gotten better, stronger, but you're still just one man, Kale. Kale kicked a wolf away and slashed another across the eyes. One man is all it takes. Is it? Then where's the boy? Kale's blood went cold. He'd been so focused on the fight, he hadn't noticed. Elias was gone. Seraphine's smile widened. My hunters found him 30 seconds ago. By now, he's already. A gunshot echoed through the compound. Then another. And another. Seraphine's smile vanished. A figure appeared in the doorway behind her.
Tall. Broad.
Silver hair.
Thorn.
He held a shotgun loaded with silver rounds. And behind him stood 6 Nightfang wolves. Thorn's gravelly voice cut through the chaos. You made a mistake, Seraphine. You threatened my family. Seraphine's eyes narrowed.
Thorn.
I should have known you'd show up. Always the protective alpha. Where's the boy?
Dead by now.
Thorn raised the shotgun. Wrong answer. He fired. The blast caught Seraphine in the shoulder, spinning her around. She hit the ground, snarling in pain. The infected wolves scattered. Thorn's pack flooded the hall, surrounding Kale. But they weren't there to fight him. They were there to help. Thorn walked over to Kale, eyes hard. You all right, boy? Kale wiped blood from his face. The kid. They took him. No, they didn't. Thorn nodded toward the far corridor. A small figure emerged from the shadows. Elias. Unharmed. Behind him was one of Thorn's wolves, a female named Ash. She'd protected him. Kale exhaled. Thorn looked down at Seraphine, who was struggling to stand. You really thought you could use my son to manipulate Kale? Kale's head snapped toward Thorn. Your son. Thorn's silver eyes met his. Didn't think I'd tell you like this.
But yeah.
You're mine, Kale. Not by blood.
But by choice.
I claimed you the day I took you from that massacre. Kale's world tilted. Then why didn't you ever? Because telling you would have made you weak. Made you think you owed me something. I needed you strong. Needed you to survive on your own. Kale stared at the old wolf. So all of this, the training, the exile, the contracts, it was all to prepare you for this. Thorn gestured at Seraphine. She's not working alone. She's part of something bigger. An organization that's been manipulating supernatural politics for decades. They orchestrate wars, assassinations, power shifts. Seraphine laughed, blood dripping from her mouth. You think killing me stops anything? We've been planning this for 20 years. Kale's parents weren't random casualties. They were obstacles.
And now, so is he.
Kale walked over to her. Who ordered their deaths? Seraphine smiled. You'll find out soon enough. When the moon bleeds red. When the packs turn on each other. When the world burns. She pulled something from her pocket. A small vial. Kale lunged.
Too late.
She crushed it in her hand. Black smoke erupted from her body. When it cleared, she was gone. Only her blood remained. Thorn cursed. Shadow magic. She's gone. Kale slammed his fist into the wall. We need answers. Thorn nodded. And I know where to get them. He turned to Elias.
Boy.
Come here. Elias walked over hesitantly. Thorn knelt down. Your father was a good alpha. Strong.
Fair.
But he made enemies. Powerful ones. And now those enemies are coming for you. Why? Because you're not just any heir. Your bloodline is special, ancient, and whoever controls you controls the future of the packs. Elias's silver eyes glistened. I don't want to control anything. I just want my family back. Thorn's expression softened. I know, kid, but that's not how this world works. He stood and looked at Kale. We're taking him to the sanctuary. It's the only place they can't reach him. Kale frowned. The sanctuary hasn't accepted outsiders in 50 years. They'll accept him, because he's not an outsider. Thorn placed a hand on Elias's shoulder. This boy is the last living descendant of the first pack, the original werewolves. And if the old prophecies are true, he's the only one who can stop what's coming. Kale's eyes widened. The first pack is a myth. So were you, until you proved otherwise. Thorn turned toward the exit. We leave in 5 minutes. Gather what you need. Kale looked at Elias.
The boy who was supposed to die.
The boy who was now the key to everything. Looks like we're stuck together, kid. Elias managed a small smile.
Good.
Because I don't think anyone else could keep me alive. Kale ruffled his hair. Don't get used to it. I'm not exactly hero material. My dad used to say heroes are just people who don't run away when things get bad. Kale paused. Your dad was a smart man.
Yeah.
He was. They walked toward the exit together. Behind them, the Black Moon compound burned. Ahead, an ancient war was beginning, and Kale was about to learn the truth about who he really was, and what he was meant to become. Chapter 5. The Last Howl. The sanctuary was hidden deep in the mountains. No roads led to it. No maps marked its location. It existed only in whispers and legends. But Thorn knew the way. They traveled for 2 days. Through forests. Over rivers. Past territories that didn't officially exist. Elias stayed close to Kale the entire time. The boy barely spoke. But his eyes were always watching. Always alert. He was learning. On the 3rd night, they reached the gates. Massive stone walls covered in ancient runes. Torches burning with silver flame. And standing at the entrance were 3 figures. Elders. The oldest wolves in existence. Thorn stepped forward. I invoke the right of sanctuary. For the boy. The center elder, a woman with white hair and eyes like galaxies, studied Elias. You bring us the child of prophecy. Thorn nodded.
Ido.
She turned her gaze to Kale. And you bring us the weapon. Kale tensed. I'm not anyone's weapon. The elder smiled. Not yet. But you will be. She stepped aside. Enter. All of you. The council will hear your petition. They passed through the gates. Inside, the sanctuary was breathtaking. Massive trees older than nations. Wolves of every size and color moving through the grounds. Structures carved from living stone. This wasn't just a refuge. It was the birthplace of all werewolves. The first den. Elias's eyes went wide. This place is real. Thorn placed a hand on his shoulder. Everything is real, boy. The question is whether you're ready to face it. They were led to a great hall. Inside, 12 wolves sat in a circle. The Council of Elders. The most powerful werewolves alive. Thorn and Kale stood before them with Elias between them. The white-haired elder spoke. 20 years ago, we foresaw a reckoning. A war that would tear the supernatural world apart. We saw blood. Fire. The end of the old ways. Another elder continued. We also saw a child. Born of the first blood. The only one who could unite the packs. Or destroy them. A third elder's eyes locked onto Elias. That child is you. Elias's voice was small. I don't understand. I'm just a kid. You are the last direct descendant of Fenrir, the father of all wolves. His blood runs pure in your veins. And that blood gives you power no alpha has possessed in 1,000 years. Kale stepped forward. If he's so powerful, why do people want him dead? The white-haired elder's expression darkened. Because power can be wielded, or it can be controlled. There are those who wish to control him. to use his bloodline to create an army of werewolves loyal only to them.
Who?
The organization calls itself the Eclipse. They have infiltrated every supernatural faction. They orchestrate conflicts, manipulate bloodlines, and eliminate anyone who stands in their way. Thorn's jaw tightened, including Kale's parents. The elder nodded. Your mother was one of us, a guardian of the first blood. She discovered the Eclipse's plans and tried to stop them. So they killed her, and your father, and would have killed you if Thorn hadn't intervened. Kale's hands clenched into fists. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because you weren't ready. You needed to become what you are now. The ghost. The weapon that cannot be controlled. Only then could you protect the child. Protect him from what? The elders exchanged glances. Finally, the white-haired elder spoke. In 3 days, the blood moon rises. On that night, the Eclipse will attempt a ritual. They will use the blood of the first pack to break the ancient binding that keeps werewolves from turning at will. If they succeed, they will create an army of wolves who can transform whenever they choose, without the moon's influence, without limitation. And they need Elias for this? His blood is the key. 1 drop is all they need. Kale looked at Elias. The boy was trembling. So we hide him. Keep him here. The elder shook her head. They will find him. Even here. The only way to stop them is to destroy the Eclipse before they complete the ritual.
How?
By killing their leader. A hologram appeared in the center of the circle. A woman. Elegant. Beautiful.
Deadly.
Seraphine. But older. Transformed. Her eyes were pure black now. Her body wreathed in shadow. She has consumed the essence of 100 wolves. She is no longer just alpha. She is something beyond. An apex. Kale's blood ran cold. Where is she? At the ritual site. The place where Fenrir first walked the earth. The howling cradle. Thorn stepped forward. We'll need an army. The elder smiled grimly. You'll have one. Every pack that honors the old ways will stand with you. But understand this. Most of you will die. The Eclipse has been preparing for this war for decades. They are ready. Are we? The elder looked at Kale. That depends on him. All eyes turned to Kale. He looked at Elias. At Thorn. At the elders. Then he spoke. I've spent my whole life being used, controlled, manipulated. I thought I was free, but I was just another piece on their board. He drew his blade. Not anymore. I'm done being their weapon. From now on, I choose my own targets. He pointed the blade at the hologram of Seraphine. And I choose her. The elders nodded. Then it is decided. We march at dawn. Thorn gripped Kale's shoulder. You don't have to do this. You can walk away. Take the boy and disappear. Kale shook his head. I'm tired of running. And I'm tired of hiding. These people took everything from me. My parents. My childhood. My choice. He looked Thorn in the eyes. It's time I take something back. Thorn smiled. That's my boy. That night, Kale sat with Elias under the stars. The boy was quiet. Finally, he spoke. Are you scared? Kale considered the question.
Yeah.
I am. But you're still going.
Yeah.
Why? Kale looked at the boy. Because someone once told me that heroes are just people who don't run away when things get bad. And I'm tired of running. Elias smiled. My dad would have liked you. I would have liked him too. They sat in silence for a while. Then Elias asked, if you don't come back, what happens to me? Kale put a hand on his shoulder. Then Thorn will protect you. And the sanctuary will raise you. And one day, you'll become the alpha you were meant to be. What if I don't want to be an alpha? Kale smiled. Then don't be. Be whatever you choose. That's the whole point of this fight. So you can choose. Elias nodded. Kale? Yeah. Promise me something.
What?
Come back. Please. Kale's throat tightened. I'll try, kid. I'll try. The next morning, the army assembled. 5 packs. 300 wolves. All ready to fight. At the front stood Kale, Thorn, and the elders. Behind them, an alliance forged in blood and necessity. They marched toward the howling cradle, toward the final battle, toward destiny. And as they walked, Elias watched from the gates of the sanctuary, silver eyes shining, believing, hoping, that the ghost would keep his promise. The howling cradle was a wasteland. Ancient stones jutted from the earth like broken bones. The air crackled with dark magic. And at the center stood Seraphine, wreathed in shadow, eyes black as the void. Behind her, the eclipse's forces waited. Hundreds of corrupted wolves, mercenaries, dark witches. An army built to end the world. Thorn's forces spread out in formation. Kale stood at the front, blade in hand, heart steady. Seraphine's voice echoed across the battlefield. You came. I knew you would. Because you're predictable, Kale. You always choose the hard way.
Kale didn't respond.
He just walked forward. Seraphine smiled. You think you can stop this? You think killing me changes anything? The eclipse is eternal. Cut off one head, 10 more grow back. Kale kept walking. Maybe. But I'm really good at cutting off heads. Seraphine's smile vanished. She raised her hand. Kill them. Kill them all. The eclipse charged. And so did Thorn's alliance. The battlefield exploded into chaos. Wolves tearing into wolves. Magic clashing against claws. Blood painting the ancient stones. Kale moved through it all like a ghost.
Silent. Deadly.
Unstoppable. He cut through eclipse soldiers. Dodged spells. Broke necks and shattered bones. And all the while, he moved toward Seraphine. She waited for him. When he finally reached her, she laughed. You really think you can beat me? I'm beyond alpha now.
I'm Apex. I'm Evolution.
Kale raised his blade. You're just another monster who needs to die. They clashed. It was brutal. Seraphine's strength was inhuman. Her speed impossible. But Kale had something she didn't. 20 years of survival. Of fighting. Of refusing to give up. He matched her blow for blow.
Strike. Parry.
Counter. The battle raged around them, but in that moment, it was just the two of them. Teacher and student. Creator and weapon. Seraphine's claws raked across his ribs. Kale's blade opened her throat. They both staggered back. Seraphine touched her neck, blood pouring through her fingers.
Impossible.
Kale spat blood. Nothing's impossible. You taught me that. Seraphine's eyes widened. Then she smiled. I did, didn't I? I taught you well. She collapsed. The shadows around her faded. And with her death, the eclipse's forces faltered. Without their leader, they scattered. The battle was won. Thorn's wolves howled in victory. Kale fell to his knees, exhausted. Thorn walked over and helped him up. You did it, boy. You actually did it. Kale looked around at the bodies, at the blood, at the cost. Did I?
Yeah.
You did. They walked back to the sanctuary together. The war was over. But Kale knew the fight would never truly end.
There would always be another threat.
Another monster. Another war. But for now, he'd won. For now, he'd kept his promise. When they reached the gates, Elias ran out. The boy crashed into Kale, hugging him tight. You came back. Kale ruffled his hair. Told you I'd try. Elias looked up at him with those silver eyes. What happens now? Kale smiled. Now, you grow up. Become whatever you want to be. And I make sure nothing ever threatens you again. You're staying? Kale looked at Thorn. The old wolf nodded. Yeah, kid.
I'm staying.
Because maybe, just maybe, the ghost had finally found a home. Years passed. Elias grew strong.
Wise.
Powerful. He became the alpha the prophecies foretold. But he never forgot the man who protected him. The assassin raised by wolves. The weapon who chose to become something more. And whenever someone asked Elias how he survived, how he became who he was, he always said the same thing. I had the best guardian anyone could ask for. A ghost who refused to let me die. A man who taught me that strength isn't about power. It's about choice. And what did he choose? They'd ask. Elias would smile. To be human. And somewhere in the shadows, Cale would smile too. Because he'd finally found what he'd been searching for his whole life. Purpose. Family. Home. So, was Cale a hero? Or was he just a weapon who learned to choose his own targets? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more stories like this, stories of outcasts who become legends, of monsters who find their humanity, of warriors who refuse to break, then make sure you're subscribed to Kismet Publishing. We've got more tales of wolves, alphas, forbidden bonds, and bloody redemption coming your way. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this story. And let us know, what kind of werewolf story should we tell next? Until next time, stay fierce.